Hello, Wiki Peeps, and welcome to this Saturday's WikiTree LiveCast. Appreciate everybody showing up. Today in the LiveCast, we have Peter Roberts, and we also have Emma Macbeth. Hello, Emma. Hello, Peter. How are you?
Hello, hello.
Good afternoon.
Hello, hello. What's that, Peter?
Good afternoon.
Oh, good afternoon. You would be saying something normal. It's a beautiful day here. It's very hard to be inside. I actually looked about doing a live cast from the patio today, and I didn't think it'd quite work because we don't have the patio completely set up. So we're in here today, and that's okay. I'm going outside as soon as we're done. Today's live cast, we're going to be talking about WikiTree and DNA. The last one in the series of DNA for this right now. Any DNA questions that people want to ask that they want to talk about in a live cast setting, be glad to talk about those in the future. Don't even mind talking about things we've already talked about, because you can never talk about how to do something correctly enough or the best practices. So this week, WikiTree and DNA, WikiTree and third-party DNA sites. And we'll get that started. Does anybody have any comments or questions before we get that started?
Nope.
Everyone wants to know where Julie is.
I don't know where she is today. I just know she's not here. She's somewhere, and I do know where she is, but I can't remember right off the top of my head. I'm busy. So WikiTree and DNA, WikiTree and third-party DNA sites. Let's see our fun little WikiTree bouncy DNA ball. Cameron is whistling in the background at Emma's house, just to let you know that there's not a ghost.
He has headphones on, so I can't yell at him to stop.
So WikiTree is a global family tree. It can include all of our living relatives, your ancestors, and mine.
WikiTree Connects. WikiTree doesn't offer DNA testing. We don't host DNA test results. You don't upload your DNA or raw data to WikiTree. WikiTree focuses on what we do best, genealogical collaboration.
And we specialize in helping you share and collaborate with your matches. So we approach things from the opposite direction.
We connect distant cousins who might be matches so that they can compare test results.
And we are the place where genealogists collaborate. So add your test information to WikiTree and you will get this spiffy diffy, beautiful DNA tested badge to go on your profile. So third-party DNA sites, and Peter and I have been discussing this a bit this week, and it's something that I discuss with people off and on, and I've discussed it a bit with Emma. And there's like 3 different categories of ways that third-party DNA sites can be included in WikiTree. And third-party sites for genetic genealogy, we're not talking other third-party sites. So for genetic genealogy and DNA, the 2 programs that are integrated with WikiTree, that means that there's some sort of connection for genetic genealogy, are GEDmatch and 23andMe. And we have MitoSearch and YSearch, which are third-party sites that have, you can put your ID for those 2 sites on your WikiTree test information for your DNA tests, and that'll show up on your profile. And it'll also, as a part of DNA, WikiTree's DNA features, it'll also auto-populate through your limbs, through your tree. Sorry about that. That shouldn't be popping up. And the others are where a user can copy and paste information into a private DNA sandbox or space page on WikiTree. And we'll talk about that more in depth later. And those sites are DNA.gedcom, GenBack, DNA.land, Prometheus, and FTDNA. So to start right off the bat, GEDmatch is just an incredible tool. It's free for the most part, if you want to do higher level analytics and stuff like that, there's a $10 a month fee, which is breadcrumbs. But GEDmatch is a place for tools for DNA and genealogy research, and it provides DNA and genealogical analysis tools for amateur and professional researchers and genealogists. Most of the tools, as I said, are free, and there are some premium tools, and those are called Tier 1 tools. And what you have to do with GEDmatch is you have to upload your DNA data and or a GEDcom. I think and is more the correct word there, to make use of the tools that are on the site. And you can go, we'll go to the website, and we have the link for it as well. You can go. Judy Russell, who is the legal genealogist, in 2012, and this was quite a few years ago, called it a DNA geek's dream site. Now, I agree with her that it is a dream site for DNA geeks. But aside from that, I think that it's a dream site for anyone doing genealogy that's not a geek. You could be my grandmother and you could enjoy GEDmatch. So I think that to say now today that there are so many people involved in DNA for genealogy that everybody can access GEDmatch and see what they're doing and understand it completely. So here we have a way to, I'm showing you how to get into GEDmatch. Type in GEDmatch, is gedmatch.com, and go to their website, and you'll see that you have a place to put in your address, your email address, and your password. If you're not registered, you can register. Like I said, there's no fee, and you can click here to do that. Then put in your username and your password, and it'll take you to your profile page. And I have cut it up a bit here so that some of my information will stay private. You see my login information and is Mags, and then my email shows that I'm a Tier 1 member and a Tier 1 sustainer, meaning that I do pay that $10 a month every month. And then over to the right, there's some information for you. The majority of people, when they first log in to GEDmatch, they want to do something called a one-to-many compare. And that brings up a sheet that shows all of your matches to you. You can enter your kit number here. The 7 centimorgan is really the threshold you should use. It's the accepted standard. Some say 10 centimorgans, but 7 is great. And then click on Display Results, and you will get a spreadsheet that looks like this and give you all of your matches. And in this particular spreadsheet, you will note this, which is a column that shows GEDcoms or a link to WikiTree. If someone has their GEDcom uploaded to GEDmatch, you'd click on the GED and it will take you to their GEDcom on GEDmatch. If you click on the wiki, it will show you how you get to a profile on WikiTree. It'll take you straight into a profile like Peter Roberts. I'm going to go back. There's also some information here about what GEDmatch calls GEDmatch WikiTree Synergy. And it has to do with privacy issues on GEDmatch. If you, it gives you a little bit of background on what it is that you're doing on GEDmatch and how it works, and how WikiTree is a community of genealogists working together to grow an accurate single-family tree, which is absolutely true. And it encourages collaboration about our honor code and about using traditional genealogical sources to build the tree. And we do encourage DNA kit numbers with a profile for an individual so that all of the WikiTree's DNA features can be used. It also tells how it works. And it also states that there have been some issues with people that have taken some GEDcom information and posted it. And WikiTree has a very firm policy that we do not support posting anyone's information unless you have written permission from that person to post their DNA information, or you manage their kits. So GEDmatch has a way, if you are a GEDmatch user, where you can disable links in WikiTree, and you can read on how to do that at the GEDmatch site. And this really quickly shows you how to do that. We encourage you to keep your information up so that we can see it on WikiTree and be able to see your match to us on WikiTree. Makes it really easy and comfortable. So here is the way that Peter Roberts, who is the lovely man sitting in the beautiful orange shirt with the DNA tie, this is his profile page. And WikiTree takes test information that members enter and auto-populates all profiles in the members line with their DNA test information. And this is a list of people that Peter has permission to use their DNA test information, or it's people who have put the information in themselves on their profile for their tests, and they show up as matches to Peter in Peter's test information. So you see here that the GEDmatch number for Peter Roberts shows up. And if you take that GEDmatch number and you plug it into GEDmatch, back where we were talking about entering that information in on the one-to-many, you will get a list like this showing all of the matches between you and Peter, and it'll also show you some other things, and we'll get to that in just a few minutes. Let me go back through these, back to Peter Roberts. Peter, did you want to fill in any information about this as we go?
I do. The wiki link that you showed, when you see the maps you've got, if you click on the wiki link, it shows an 8-generation family tree. It doesn't show my profile. Right,
well,
that's what it shows.
I had it linked into mine, so this is what you see.
Right. That's great. So when you click on any one that you match in GEDmatch, then you can, if it says wiki, then you click that, and then you get to see their 8-generation family tree like you're seeing right now. That's what the only thing I wanted to add.
Yeah, and I meant to click through to that, and I did not. So what Peter is talking about and what I should have done was click through. So if you're on GEDmatch and you see a one-to-many matches list, and they have wiki written beside their name, click on wiki, and it will take you to the 8-generation compact tree like mine here, showing Matthew Galden and my dad and my grandparents and me.
The other thing, GEDmatch gives you the opportunity to put in an alias for yourself.
Yes.
But if you do that, then there's an extra hurdle that you have to do to make sure that people can see your tree. Because the default is that GEDmatch assumes if you've done an alias, then you want to be private and you don't want your tree to be done automatically. So you have to, in a sense, tell GEDmatch it's okay for people to see my tree.
How do we do that, Peter? Because now I know why that's not showing on my GEDmatch.
Yeah. So if you go back to Mags, if you go back to where you were, and it gave the instructions on how to make yourself private in GEDmatch, if you go back a couple screens.
Right, and we're working on that. So it is up. That would be here, not there.
Go back.
Yep.
Go back.
Working on it.
Go back. And then back again.
I don't think it was back. I think it was forward.
Forward.
There we go. You're going to know this by heart by the time we get done with it. I'm telling you. It's here. There we go.
There. This screen here. There. That's it. Here it tells you how to change your public availability on a kit. How to change the public availability on a kit.
So my kit's already public, but
Yeah. But if you've used alias,
I used an alias.
then it messes it up.
So how do we fix that?
It's down towards the bottom. There's a link. Enable if alias.
Okay.
enable if alias. So you got to click that radio button.
Okay.
Enable even if alias.
I need to do that for all my kids.
Yeah.
All right. So there you go. Thank you, Peter, for that extra bit of information.
Glad you brought that up.
And we'll go back to that slideshow that everybody has memorized now. So we were talking about Peter's GEDmatch information and how it shows up on his profile and where his GEDmatch number is. And you can take that GEDmatch number and enter it into GEDmatch and go back to that to your profile page, and you can have lots of different options that you can compare you and Peter. And I'm not showing that because at this point, because it would be showing you private information, but I do have what it looks like when you do a match with someone on GEDmatch a little bit further down when we're talking about the DNA sandboxes and how to import DNA matches between two people into WikiTree for analysis. So we'll move on, and 23andMe, how 23andMe is integrated, and Peter is going to take us through this.
Oh boy. Okay. So what I do know is that 23andMe, they have on one of their pages, they have where you can enter the URL for where you keep your family tree. And what you want to do is put in the URL for where you keep your compact tree, which is the 8th-generation compact tree for WikiTree.
The one we just had up that I was showing for me.
That showed the 8 generations. Because when you have a DNA match, whether any of the labs or any of the matches that you have in GEDmatch, you're quite often going to find your shared ancestry within that 8th-generation ancestral tree. And that's what you're sharing. You know, the DNA is coming from shared ancestry, and this is making it much easier to find that shared ancestry by being able to link to the ancestral trees. And WikiTree does that automatically if you put in your GEDmatch ID on your profile on the DNA tests page.
Did you have a screen share you wanted to do?
I do on later on.
Okay, I've got it. I can actually pull this up, and if you want to talk, I've got Kitty Munson's Cooper's great link your online tree to 23andMe.
Okay.
And
yeah, so what I would recommend people do is that they go to this blog, and it explains it exceedingly well on how you put in the link to your 8th-generation ancestral tree. The example that Kitty uses is just it's not the compact tree. She's got like the traditional looking tree that she links to or that she uses as an illustration. But I think it's better to put in the link to your compact ancestral tree. If you're able to keep scrolling down, I think then she shows you the traditional tree.
I'm just showing where she put that link in from WikiTree.
That's where it is, yeah.
Yeah, and then stay on page, saving.
Okay, and then
here's the traditional tree.
That's the traditional tree, but the shared ancestry may be in an earlier generation than what you're seeing here. So I think it's better to have an 8th-generation ancestral tree showing up for the link. And
the traditional only goes back 5.
5, yeah.
And what you want to, and what Peter is saying is you want to be able to go back 8 because it's our 64. It's the 64 fourth great grandparents back, and so that's 6 to 8 generations.
Mm-hmm.
So, and that's Kitty's information, and you can grab the address. It'll also be in the slides that will be posted to the page, to the LiveCast page on WikiTree. Let's see, Peter.
Yes.
We're going to go on to MitoSearch here. Let me just throw this slide up for just a second. And then Peter's going to take us through MitoSearch and through YSearch. MitoSearch is a public database for mitochondrial DNA. And it's for DNA results that helps genealogists determine if 2 or more people share a female ancestor on their direct maternal line. And I do have a link off here to MitoSearch, and we'll follow it. I see Doug Beasley has asked a question. He says, I don't don't get it, I click the one-to-many to see the matches. I get 2,000 matches and nothing at the end of that.
In a column. In terms of the wiki link is within a column on those.
Yeah. What we're talking about is the wiki link within those columns, and MitoSearch is taking a bit here to load, but yeah.
I can let me screen share, and I can do the demonstration on the.
Here we go. MitoSearch finally loaded.
Okay.
And this is just the beginning page for MitoSearch. So you can create a new user by uploading your DNA information. That's your raw data. You can edit, you can search for genetic matches, which I'm not going to do because personal information would come up. You can search by haplogroup, which is great for me. And there's also research tools and statistics. And Peter, I'm going to stop screen sharing and answer a question while you get your screen share up.
Okay.
And Greg Lennon asks, how popular are these integrations? How many people are using them either for GEDmatch, WikiTree, or 23andMe and WikiTree? Greg, I don't have statistics to tell you that. I could probably talk to Alesh, our statistical analyst, and get him to throw up some numbers for us for next week, probably. But I don't know how many people. I know that it's something that we talk about a lot on WikiTree. And if you go through your one-to-many matches and look down the list and see how many wiki links you have, you'll get an idea of how many people have their DNA test information listed. I think it's close to 40,000. Peter, do you remember how many people have their DNA test information up?
It said that they've taken a DNA test, and about 3 weeks ago, I think it was 43,000.
So there are 43,000 possible links between WikiTree and GEDmatch. So 43,000. That's not a drop in the bucket. That's a pretty good. That's a pretty good number. All right, Peter.
Are you all seeing my screen?
Yeah, they are now.
Okay, so this is one of my ancestors, and on the DNA connections, you can see the different people in that same direct maternal line that have taken an mtDNA test. Some of them you can see that there's MitoSearch IDs associated with them, and what MitoSearch does is that I can click on DNA, and then I can click on the DNA confirmation, and I get this page here. And I can click on the boxes that have a MitoSearch ID, and then I can say, compare them in MitoSearch, and I see this screen. And so this is the way that we're able to use mitochondrial DNA and confirm a direct maternal line back to the most recent common ancestor. Because if this information is matching like it should, then we know that the genealogy, the ancestry, is accurate back to the most recent common ancestor because the mitochondrial DNA is matching like it's expected to match.
Peter, for the layman, tell me what I'm looking at. What do all these numbers mean? The HVR1 and HVR2 mutations.
Okay.
Quickly go over what those are.
Okay, so that is the part of the mitochondrial DNA where you normally see differences from the reference. You normally see differences from the first person who ever took a mitochondrial DNA test, and we're seeing the differences from her. And the numbers really don't. They're just the numbers are locations. And like at location 51, she's got this person here. This user's got a G, and,
right.
And at location 162, this person has a G. And so the thing is that with mitochondrial DNA, you really are looking for exact matches in almost all cases. So if you belong to the same direct maternal line and your mitochondrial DNA is matching, then your ancestry back to the most recent common ancestor is can be confirmed with DNA because the DNA is matching the way it should given the ancestry. And
the HVR1 and the HVR2 is kind of like, if you equate that to Y DNA, which everybody kind of knows about, is whether it's a 11, a 25, a 37 marker test. So HVR1 is one set, and HVR2, and then a full sequence set. So
we don't see full sequence information because that can have health related information there in a full sequence test. But show you later on, GenBank is a place that you can put your full sequence results, but you can't do comparisons
Right.
automatic. But HVR1 and HVR2 are the standard. This is what you want to compare with on mitochondrial DNA because it very, very rarely has health-related information associated with differences on HVR1 and 2.
The third person in the on that list does not have an HVR2 level of testing, which is what I was going to get to, is that they only have HVR1, which would be like only having a 12 test on Y.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And we know the genealogy matches. The thing is does the mitochondrial DNA reinforce or confirm that what we know about the genealogy? And in this case, it does match.
Okay.
And this, the differences you're seeing, it's actually quite rare to have, it's actually quite common to have rare mutations on mitochondrial DNA. It's quite common to have rare mutations on mitochondrial DNA.
Okay.
Okay. Want to move on, or do you?
Yeah, sounds great.
Okay. Oh, am I moving on, or you want? You want?
I can move on to Y. Is that what you wanted to do?
Yeah. Yes. Or I can just try to start talking about Y.
All right. I wanted to bring up the Y real quick. I have a couple of slides here on the mitochondrial before we go to that.
Okay.
So I'm going to turn you off.
Okay.
And, I'm going to get my screen back up for everybody. So MitoSearch, we're at MitoSearch. And just to show you on Peter's information down here is the MitoSearch ID. And then we'll move on to YSearch. And YSearch is a public database. It's just like MitoSearch, where it's for Y DNA haplotypes, which helps genealogists determine if 2 or more males share a male ancestor on their direct paternal line genealogically. And I'll pop over to YSearch to show you. Let's hope it comes up quicker than MitoSearch did. And show you the information. This is what the starting page for YSearch looks like. And you can create a new user. You can edit. You can get an alphabetical list of last names, which are really helpful, especially if you don't know. If you're an adoptee and you're looking for names, you can find that information. It has research tools, search by haplogroup, search for genetic matches, and statistics. And I'll switch now, stop, and I'll let Peter share his screen.
Okay. So now I have to do that, right? I have to.
Right. You have to share your screen.
Okay.
There you go.
I'm sharing?
Yes, you are. And I'm going to make sure you're presenting to everyone. There you go.
Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not on the. Okay, here we are. I'm on my profile page. And if I scroll down, I can see that on my direct male line, my direct paternal line, I've taken a Y chromosome test or a Y DNA test. And a cousin of mine, Anonymous Roberts, has taken a Y chromosome test. And we both have YSearch IDs. And I can go into, I can actually, one thing that I can do is I can just click on that and I can see my information in YSearch. I just went to an external database there. But I can also do a comparison within YSearch. And I can go click on DNA. Click on DNA. Come on. And then I can click on DNA confirmation. And then I can click on the 2 boxes. And then I can do compare them in YSearch. It's very similar to MitoSearch, except you have to do this little extra thing to actually see the comparison in order to stop people from. And then you can get to see the comparison. The Y-DNA, about 90% of the numbers that you see here should match anyone else on your direct paternal line. And that, in this case, we've got a 37-37 match with my second cousin once removed. And so I know that back to our shared direct paternal line ancestor, I know that this ancestry is accurate because the Y DNA is matching like it's expected to match. We both belong to the same direct paternal line. This type of thing can work going back 12, 10, 12 generations on the direct male line, perhaps even further. And one of the things is that people have often said, well, when I enter my information into WiSearch, I don't get to see I'm getting an error message. And that's an unfortunate thing, but there is a workaround. And one on G2G, if you Google WiSearch, is WiSearch dead? You get to see there's this question that was posted, is WiSearch dead? And if you scroll down, there's an answer here, and it explains how to find your WiSearch ID when you've gotten the error message. And so you just have to follow that. Does that sound good?
That sounds great.
Okay.
All right. And are you done there, Peter?
I think so. I think so.
Okay. Yeah, and I just wanted to point out to everybody, and I'm assuming that he doesn't mind this, Greg Lennon is in our chat, and he is the co-founder of SNpedia and Prometheus. We're very glad to have you here joining in. And aside from the LiveCast, Greg, I know Peter and I would love to talk to you more about seeing what we can do with Prometheus and WikiTree in the future. Absolutely. So, Peter, I'm going to take you off the share,
Right.
and I'm going to throw my screen back up just really quickly to show.
Peter,
Yes.
if that workaround isn't working for people, can they message you, or what can they do?
They can post on G2G, or they can message me. The other thing is that, okay, if you did not test with family tree DNA and you're entering your information by, in a sense, by hand and not uploading automatically, I recommend that you put your haplogroup as S, as in snake. Use haplogroup S, because that is a very rare haplogroup for both mitochondrial DNA and Y DNA. And then you can, if you later on, once you've entered your information, you've entered your haplogroup S, then you can search for haplogroup S, and you can find your information that you uploaded. And then you can change your haplogroup to your real haplogroup. So that's another workaround that you can do to find yourself. Because when you enter your information, you get an error message. The information got uploaded. You just can't find your ID.
All right. You can contact Peter later, Charlotte, if you wanted to get a little extra help. But I'm hoping that what you just heard from Peter will help clear up your question. Good. And back to this, I just wanted to show on your WikiTree profile, not only do you see Peter's, not yours, but on the WikiTree profile that we're showing, and this could be a profile of any of Peter's ancestors that are on WikiTree. You could show that you have Peter's WiSearch that you could use, or you could check for matches against this anonymous Roberts here. And so there's sometimes not just one, but two, maybe three people. And you'll see it under the DNA section of any profile that has DNA features that are happening because someone has entered their test information on WikiTree. I want to go now to the part that is going to be most interesting. And people say, how do you integrate information from third-party sites into WikiTree? And this goes along with what we were talking about as well, that we want to protect people's privacy. So do not transfer anything into WikiTree, any kind of match information or anything like that, and make it public. You want to make sure that you put it into a private space page, and we'll show you that in just a minute. But real quickly, we'll run down DNAGED.com, which is a site that where you can upload your information. And Peter, I believe you wanted to talk to us about that. Did you want me to continue sharing my screen, or did you want to bring a screen up yourself?
You share my screen now?
Okay, great. I'll stop, and you can bring yours up.
And I just lost what I wanted to show. Okay, DNA information.
It's Murphy's Law.
Yes. Oh, that's Kitty. No. Okay. There we go. Here we go. Okay. So in DNA GEDcom, what DNA GEDcom does is you upload your in common with file from Family Tree DNA, or you can upload actually from GEDmatch to DNA GEDcom, and then you get to see the matches that you have, their names, and the size of the segment that you're matching. But they've got a tool, ADSA, which I can't remember exactly what that stands for, but it's a DNA segment analyzer of sorts. And what you get to see is that hopefully you can see these rectangles here, these colored rectangles, this one at the bottom. Wherever you see this colored rectangle, these people, this is where you might want to try to look for a triangulated group. These matches are probably all matching each other. And that's what you want to pay attention to. And you can also see on the right-hand side that they're overlapping segments. Wherever you see these rectangles, colored rectangles, you have these overlapping segments, and that's where you're going to find your triangulated groups. And if ever you've got a triangulated group or overlapping segments, you want to email the people to contact them and say, you know, we've got shared ancestry, we've got matching DNA segments. What is your shared ancestor? And you can share with them your 8-generation ancestral tree. The other thing is that DNA GEDcom can work with, you can take a file from DNA GEDcom and you can upload it to Kitty Munson's what is it called? KWorks. And I have not worked with KWorks, but hopefully some other people will can chime in about that. It's another tool to visualize your overlapping segments, and I believe you can actually assign ancestry to those particular segments and saying this is coming from my great-grandfather Bob Taylor or whatever.
Right. Your phase data, so going off onto your maternal or your paternal line, and then specific ancestors in those lines. Yes.
So you can, in a sense, say where the segments are coming from.
Right.
And that's just another way, some other tools to make use of. And this is also free. And
that website's free?
This is DNA GEDcom is free, and they ask for a donation, which is a nice thing to do. But it is free, and it has advertising on their site to try to. And
Thomas Anderson also pointed out that the Tier 1 information at GEDmatch also has a similar tool, but it's not free. Like it's as good. It's just not completely free. It's the $10 a month or $10 one-time use.
And the great thing about the GEDmatch is that they show you the triangulation. They show you that your matches are matching each other on the same segment. And that's really what we're looking at. Whenever you have that, then you need to say, what is the shared ancestry? Because that shared segment is coming from shared ancestry in a triangulated group.
Right. All right, Peter, do you want to just keep on going on GenBank, or do you?
Okay, so GenBank, those people who've done a full sequence mitochondrial DNA test, if you want to benefit science, I strongly urge you to go through the instructions. There's information on what to do with your full sequence mitochondrial DNA results. If that's actually a question that was on G2G, and you can, in a sense, you can ask G2G, what do I do with my full sequence results? And you should get the answer. But once I want to show you the, actually I'm going to go back to myself. I'm going to go to my profile, and then it shows that I've taken a mitochondrial DNA test, and I look at the test details, and I put a link in here to my NCBI number, which is my information at GenBank. And so if I click on this number, then I actually get to see, this is my full sequence results.
Excuse me, does this say that you are a clone, Peter?
It's not a clone. I don't understand that. What that
Homo sapiens clone 12547, and now we know. Now we know the truth.
Anyway, but you get to see that this is the raw DNA of my mitochondrial DNA.
I see a lot of ATCG.
Yeah, that's what makes up the mitochondrial mitochondrial DNA. But I think there's tens of thousands of other people, like King Richard III, his mitochondrial DNA is up in this same database. It's just it's not very easy, or it's impossible to do comparisons between different files. I think it might be possible to do it. I just don't know how. But this is a good place to store mitochondrial DNA if it's yours, because now the scientific community can make use of this information. So they're collecting mitochondrial DNA from all species around the world, including and a lot of humans also.
And no clones?
Dolly might be in there somehow, but I don't know. I don't know about the clones.
All right. So did you want to also talk about DNA land, or did you want to
I can say something about DNA land.
Go ahead. Please do.
Okay. So it's also a scientific site it's taking, if you've tested with the different labs, you can upload to DNA land, and they will use your information for medical research.
Right.
But as a sideline, you get to see other matches with other people with different labs. It's very similar to GEDmatch, except GEDmatch is integrated with WikiTree, whereas DNA land, unfortunately, is not integrated with WikiTree. They could do it very easily. We can integrate it tomorrow if they said yes, but it just
well, we want them to call us.
For
We'd
sure.
love to integrate with them.
Yeah.
I have to say that there's another one, Genes for Good, that is with the University of Michigan, but it's only for U.S. residents, so I can't participate in that.
And you have to do jump some hurdles in order to get that information into Match.
And DNA land, you don't, and it still goes to medical use, and it's New York.
Okay.
Go right ahead.
And I think I'm done with GED. With
I was going to also say that DNA.land, when they first started, I joined, and there were less than 3,000 people who were members. And I checked yesterday, and there's close to 40,000 people now who are members of DNA land. And for just real quick, and it's something that we always count down when we're here, Glenn, you're going to want to see this, we have millions and millions of people who are profiled on WikiTree, and close to 500,000 active members. So just to give you that information, we'll talk about the specifics. Now on to Prometheus. Prometheus is a really, really cool site, and this is the very beginning of it. And you check in that you understand all of this stuff, and once you click agree, you go into the Prometheus site and you can upload your raw data. And again, in the thought of privacy, I'm not going to bring up my personal information. But what Prometheus does is it gives you an individualized snapshot of your medical markers, of what you have markers for, what you have, things that you might have a probability of having in your life. In my Golden line, we have Alzheimer's in the line somewhere, and I've been able to identify that the Alzheimer's that we have in our line is connected directly to people who have married into the line, which is kind of a whew, because with Prometheus, Prometheus, I was able to see that I do not have DNA markers for Alzheimer's. I also do not have markers for dementia, despite what some of you may think. I'm okay. I'm cool. I'm not crazy. It's real. I'm really this way. I also found out that I do have markers for lung cancer. So thankfully I quit smoking when I was 26. So hopefully that gets me by. I also know that I have markers for cervical cancer. So knowing this information, it's a very, very easy, good way to find out information. It's very scientific. And it's not a doctor delivering you death messages, but you could say that oh, I have a marker for possibly having lung cancer. Maybe I should stop smoking or change my lifestyle. If you have markers for type 2 diabetes, you might want to consider cutting back on your sugars and increasing your intake of insulin producing foods that you eat. So Prometheus is a great site for learning what could happen. It's not going to tell you what's going to happen, but it's what could happen, and integrating that into your information. And I'll show you more about integrating into WikiTree in just a minute. We'll go back to my screen share. And
Prometheus also shows positive markers.
They do, and it also shows things, cool things like blood, your eye color, and other stuff. Go ahead, Emma.
I was going to say one of my markers is that I metabolize caffeine really well, which is why coffee makes me sleepy, apparently.
All right. Did you have coffee today?
I have coffee every day.
I've had coffee. Yeah, and I see people in the chat saying, wow, this sounds perfect for me. And I've had people, I have clients whose spouses have asked me if I could do DNA tests to check their medical information. And with Prometheus, I can do that. I can say, yeah, I can have something run through Prometheus, and it's an incredibly inexpensive process. It's $5.
Yeah.
You get access to the reports for a specific amount of time, which is plenty of time to download it and be able to review the information. And I can share that information. I am not a medical doctor. I am not a medical doctor. So I don't say to them, oh, your husband's going to have kidney issues, because they say that. But Prometheus does give you an insight into what could happen based on your genetics. So it's great information to have. So back to the presentation, and this is what I've been talking about, is integrating these other sites into the DNA sandbox, whether it's Prometheus or GEDmatch or anyone else. And here is what the DNA sandbox looks like on WikiTree. And this is a generic one that I set up that people can just grab it and paste it into a free space they have. And here's some of the information that I have on this. I have a list here by phased information, which of my ancestors belongs to my mother's side or my father's side. And you can go down and look. So we'll go to Hemp Hill here, and we'll see that this is on my father's side. And this is my most distant known ancestor. And I can go there very quickly from my DNA sandbox. So I have a list of surnames, which is really helpful for people who, I have quite a few people who are adopted who match me in DNA, and I can't tell you how helpful having the surnames up. Somebody was just saying, I want to know how I did that. I'll share that with you. I have a link also to my pedigree.
A quick chat on how to do the surname.
I can do that. I can absolutely do a LiveCast quickie. And that link, that pedigree link, and this is also a good thing to be able to mail out or send out in a quick email. So I have it in a DNA sandbox to quickly be able to send that information out to people. So now we get down to the point where we're importing lists and tables into WikiTree. And I'm going to show you down here. If I go to GEDmatch and I do a run in GEDmatch for people who match me, so a one-to-one comparison with somebody. And this is basically the information you get from GEDmatch. And usually I leave the GEDmatch run information in here. And I copy their email information in. And then I just cut and paste verbatim what GEDmatch tells me. And this is into a private-only sandbox on WikiTree or FreeSpace page. And it tells me comparing my kit and their name. And it shows 700 SNPs and the mismatch bunching limit at 350 SNPs. And the minimum segment size, which we were talking about just a while ago, is 7 centimorgans. And you can see that I also pasted in the little table. And I'm going to show you how to do that. And I think that I have another table down here that we can see. This is another big table. Can you imagine doing the wiki markup on this table? And I'll show you all of that in just a second. So I'm going to go back up here, and I am not logged in. So I'm going to log in real quick. And you're not going to see my login information, hopefully. Should auto-populate that stuff. Okay. And of course, I can't do it quickly. We'll log in. And we'll go back to my DNA sandbox. I don't even know what, I'm not using my regular thing here. So we'll go back to the presentation. We'll bring that back up. And we'll go to the DNA sandbox. There we go. So here we are logged in to the DNA sandbox, and we'll go into edit mode. And you'll see that there's quite a bit of wiki markup involved in doing one of these tables. This is the surname table and all of the wiki markup for that. But here is just a basic table for WikiTree. And there's a lot of stuff you have to do to be able to import that in. So what I want to do is open Chrome. And that's not easy to do. There we go. So on Chrome, I want to go into my Excel. And you can do this from any spreadsheet program that you have. And we'll open up oh, this is a fun one. We'll open up this, and I named this Blueberry Goodness. If you know anything about me, blueberry pies play an important part of my life. And there are also gifts I give out to people who do fun things. So here is a basic spreadsheet of DNA information, and it has a column headings across the type, shows chromosome numbers, segment, start, end. Now this isn't a full Excel spreadsheet that I want to take and put into. You don't want to put a full spreadsheet in, but as you're working in your information and you start whittling down the information into smaller information, like this is a segment sort on a specific surname, which happened to be the surname Blue, and orange and green happen to be other collateral surnames, or maybe it's the maiden, the married name of a lady or whatever. So I want to take this information and I want to copy it. So I'm going to highlight it. I'm going to copy. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to open this really cool wiki table converter. I'm going to paste the information that I just got from that spreadsheet, and you'll see all the information. Doesn't look very tidy. And then down here at the bottom, it says first column element in the column is a header. First element is a row. I don't have information in the rows as a header, so I don't have that checked. I do want it to compress the table, and I do want to make it sortable. So I click do it, and instantaneously I have the wiki markup. So I take this information and I cut it and paste it, or copy it and paste it. Let's make sure we get that highlighted. If I can keep it highlighted, I want to copy it. And I want to go back to the DNA sandbox, where that was. Here we go. So here we are back at the DNA sandbox. I'm going to scroll at the bottom. I'm going to just enter in a heading here. So I just put new table so we can easily get back to it. And I'll just cut and paste, Control V in Windows, save changes. We'll go back to profile private view, and we'll go down here to new table. Click on it, and you'll see the table has been converted and carried over. and works perfectly in the DNA sandbox. So if I wanted to sort it, I click on the sort button here, and it'll sort all of these chromosomes by number, either in descending or ascending fashion. 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 13, 14, 19, or descending fashion. Can also do that if I wanted to make sure that I had the information show up in a specific format. When I'm in Excel, I'll make sure that I have all of the information sorted based on the information that I wanted to sort. So I want to add a sort by chromosome number, and I want to go from largest to smallest or smallest to largest, doesn't matter. Add a level, and I want to sort by segment start, and I want to go smallest to the largest. Add another one, and I can say segment end. So I can go ahead and sort this in Excel so that it's automatically in a sort fashion that I want. I can, again, cut and paste this in to the wiki markup and have it show up in a specific fashion, and have the sorting be however I want it sorted, and then be able to click on these things. So if I wanted to click on all the last names so that blue shows up first on the list, I'll be able to do that. You can do that very easily in that wiki table converter. And that information is on the presentation page, I believe. Here we go. How do you import a spreadsheet into WikiTree and have it appear in wiki markup language? And here is the link for that tools. Now, I'm going to also show you the public sandbox that I use very quickly. And this is one that does not have any private information on it. Has my surname list, has the pedigree chart, has my family tree DNA information. And for Glenn, for Prometheus, you notice that I have a haplogroup information, and I have all of my most distant information. I have information that is also a part of my father's information, his SNPs for the Templeton line that go back to M222, which is RM269 haplogroup. I also show my maternal Y haplogroup, even though it's not something that I tested for. I know that that is his because I have a cousin who is tested. I showed the Dillards, the Crisps. I also show some of my DNA specific information, and these are some adoptees. I don't have the adoptees listed, but I have 13 or 14 adoptees who connect to me within the last 4 generations, and we're trying to figure it out. And this is also one of my DNA confirmations on WikiTree. These are both to my 4th great-grandmother, to Ann Hall. And I can click on her name, and it'll quickly take me to that information. So for Prometheus, and for DNA GEDcom, for DNA Land, for Family Tree DNA, you can also import information from Family Tree DNA, because they do give you specific information about your matches in segment placement, shared segments, and in common with. You can import that. You can import information from 23andMe, and you can post it into a WikiTree sandbox like this and have each person show up how they have shared their information with you, but only make it private. So on this specific one, I have information about maternal matches, known paternal matches, and familiar surname matches. I oftentimes will do a matches once I start identifying specific surnames to specific chromosomes and specific segments of chromosomes. Then I'll start showing, instead of the surnames listed here, I'll start doing it by chromosome number and by surname number so that I have both of those listed. I can list information like I know that the Golden family has Alzheimer's in that family, and I can enter in the information for Prometheus into the information in the Golden name and very carefully explain that the Alzheimer's that is evident in the Golden family does not show up in markers for myself, my father, or for my brother, who have all tested and who have all gone through a Prometheus marker match information. I know that we do not have those markers, and that information based on genealogical information in the paper trails and based on Prometheus information, that those markers are not in the golden line per se. They are only from people who have married in. But I can put that information in here. Another thing that that is really great about the DNA sandboxes is that if I am working with a client or if I am helping someone, an adoptee, I can create a DNA sandbox for them and make that DNA sandbox private and set up that DNA sandbox so that only they can see the information. It's very private. So if I'm putting Prometheus information up here, it's very private. And that person has access to it. And they can see every single time that I post information or new information. I can see when they have posted new information to this. And what's really great is if I'm working with a client, they can go back and see every single change that I have made over time on that DNA sandbox. We'll make this go to 500. And they can see that I have indeed been doing work for them. So that's another great way of using this for some of our pro genealogists who are using their client or using WikiTree for their client work as well. So any questions about the DNA sandbox? And Jude is saying that there's an add-ons to Google spreadsheets, and somebody has posted the tab to wiki or wiki table works. Thank you, Jude. Looking back, are there any questions from the chat before we log off? It's 4:01. We're running a tad late, but that's okay.
No, I think everyone is just saying they need to rewatch this. There's a lot of good information.
There is a lot of good information. And to finish up here, as far as rewatching this, they'll be posted. The link is posted on the LiveCast page. And WikiTree has lots of professional geneticists, leaders in the genetic genealogy community, and people participating. So if you go to G2G and post a question about DNA, make sure you tag your question DNA, and any number of people, Peter, me, Emma, Kay, Kitty, Veronica Williams, Andrea Powell. I know I'm leaving out a bunch of our great DNA helpers. Will get in there and help you. And if you want to be really involved, jump into the project and sign on to be a DNA helper to answer some of those questions in our DNA discussions. Also, if you guys have a question that you would like to have a LiveCast quickie answered quickly, we'll do that. We have a list of useful links up in our information. ISOG is one of those, the International Society of Genetic Genealogists. And this has been WikiTree and DNA Getting Started, presented by Grandma's Genes. Next week, we will be talking with Eowyn Langloff and a few others from the Ambassadors Project to see what you can do and what we can do to help promote WikiTree and get the word about DNA and WikiTree and DNA and everything WikiTree so that more people are aware of it. We can also tell you that on June the 7th, we'll be doing a weekday live cast at 3 p.m. That's a Wednesday with Justin York, and I believe Chris Witten will be joining us about WikiTree apps, how to create apps that can work with WikiTree, such as WikiTree X that runs with Chrome and a few others. So there won't be a live cast on Saturday, June 10th, but there will be one on June the 7th. If you go to the WikiTree livecast page, you will see that information. Otherwise, Peter, are you still here?
I'm still here.
All right, Emma, do you guys have anything else that you'd like to say?
Nope. But I have a lot of new work to do after seeing some of these new sites.
Well, good. All right, so we will see you next time. Thanks very much for being here. And my screen share has gone absolutely wonkers. So we'll stop that and we'll try it again. Actually, that's Peter's screen share that's gone wonkers.
That's pretty cool.
We'll go back to me, and there you go.
There you go. Can you hear me?
We hope not. We're getting ready to sign off. We'll see you guys next week. Same
Bye-bye.
time, same place. Thank you for being here.
Bye-bye.